community that cares for one another and that cares for this wider common world. I lift up my heart and give thanks. So today is our Music Sunday, and we are celebrating with our choir a year full of choral selections, solos, choir pieces, instruments, and songs. Many of the pieces this past year have had to do with courage. It was a common theme that we noticed as we were thinking about this weekend. And from The Determined, Brave by Sara Bareilles, to the heartfelt La Mia Stella, which sings of refugees seeking a better life for their children, to the protest song, We Shall Overcome, courage resounds through our music today, and we will hear more of it in just a bit. Now, Friedrich Nietzsche once said that music is life. It both reflects and inspires human action. And there is a full range here, including despair and sadness, joy and hope. And it is true and fair to notice that music inspires, that what it inspires is not always for the good. But music can inspire the good. Courage is one of the things that music can reflect and encourage. As Martha Grover said in our reading this morning, music can inspire people to stride onto the battlefield. It can inspire them to march for justice. It can inspire them to find resolve in the midst of exhaustion. It can pull us forward in this life. And just as it can inspire courage, it can also itself serve as an act of courage. In A House for Hope, the Unitarian ministers and theologians John Burens and Rebecca Parker offer a story about a composer living in Sarajevo, Bosnia, in 1992. At the time, a war ravaged the city, and the victims were often innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Vedran Smailović heard a shell explode outside of his home. He heard screams. He smelled the smoke rising up from the damage. Outside, 22 people who were in line to buy bread were murdered in a senseless act of violence. Looking out of his window, Vedran saw the carnage. Grieved and shocked, he felt he needed to do something. He desperately wanted peace, but felt that he had so little to offer. There was hardly a community left to organize. People were afraid, and he was only one person. All of the familiar reservations ran through his head. But the next day, Vedran Smailović decided what he was going to do. He walked out to the middle of the town square in full concert clothes with his cello. He played Adagio in G minor. This plaintive, reflective piece of music filled the center of the nearly deserted town. On top of slabs of concrete broken into rubble, across from homes busted apart by bombs, with a taste of dust still lingering in the air, Vedran played. He played for 22 days. One day for each of the victims that were killed. And then when that came to an end, he decided to keep playing. As Swati Chopra described his discipline and his music, he played to ruined homes, smoldering fires, scared people hiding in basements. He played for human dignity that is the first casualty of a war. Ultimately, he played for life, for peace, for the possibility of hope that exists even in our darkest hours. Asked by a journalist whether he was not crazy for what he was doing, Vedran replied, "You ask me if I am crazy for playing the cello. Why do you not ask if they are crazy for bombing Sarajevo?" Now, the root of the word brave is disputed among scholars. People make arguments for its coming from Latin, others from Old English or Celtic, and some from French. But there is no consensus. And I think that might actually be appropriate. We often do not know where our courage arises from. Who knows where Vedran Smilovic mustered the courage to keep playing in the midst of the rubble? Who knows exactly where we find our resolve to struggle for justice and for peace in the midst of a broken world? But it does come. It may come from a place of stillness and conviction that emerges deep within, a place that is deeper than words. And we honor that today. And we also honor the times that its heartbeat is music.